Hello. Welcome to Kindly Neurodivergent with Kay. This show is to spend quality time with each other, kindly discussing the similarities and wide range of differences we experience. The experiences we discuss on this show are for educational purposes only. Please do not substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Before we begin, I respectfully request that if you witness any pauses during this show, please continue watching. I'm composing a spontaneous comment or question, someone processing their thoughts, in addition to repeating something that was unintelligible or misunderstood. It is natural discourse, and we can choose not to say anything while this is occurring. Today I have Amanda Russel with me. She is here to discuss caring Kritters Heartwarming stories. Amanda Russel is an author and illustrator of children's books about special needs. Welcome, Amanda.
Hi, Kayla. Thank you for having me today.
Please introduce yourself.
I am Amanda Russel. I am the author and illustrator for Caring Kritters, and Caring Kritters is a company that we established to publish our books about special needs. I'm an autism mom, so I have a lot of experience in special needs, and that's pretty much where I get my stories from.
What led you to becoming an author?
So my son has severe autism, and he started out being nonverbal. And so I started to realize how his social interactions were not typical on the playground, when we went to the library. And I thought, I need to get our message out there and help these children realize that when they see someone with special needs, they shouldn't be shy. They shouldn't, be scared. And I can help them by showing them ways that they can connect with their friends that have special needs.
3 years ago on March 25th, I became a co-author of a cerebral palsy book.
Oh,
The
congratulations.
synopsis of my life is Chapter 13, The Legend.
Nice. I'll have to read that.
Why is helping children feel more comfortable connecting with their friends, siblings, and peers who have special needs important to you?
Because I see how my son understands more than what we realize he understands. Yeah, you agree. Yeah. So, he knows when people feel uncomfortable around him. Do you also see that? So, I I just know that other people with special needs feel the same way. And my mission is to make people more comfortable when they're around people that have special needs. And because we always presume competence, um, yeah, and people don't really understand that. So that's why it's important to me is to let the world know that we shouldn't talk about people with special needs in front of them because they're hearing what we say, they're understanding what we say, and it can be upsetting to them. So, yeah.
How do you ensure the stories are heartwarming where we enter their world instead of forcing them into our world?
So we learned the art of joining in the very beginning when my son was first diagnosed. He was about 2.5. And I started reading books and doing research and everything and trying to figure out how we can connect with him because he was just a blank page. And we really wanted to make those connections and, really, bring him into the family. And so we learned the art of joining. And what that is we put ourselves in his world instead of forcing him into our world. So we look at things from his perspective and we ask, how would we want to be treated in that situation? So really, like, that's the basis of our stories.
How did you figure out his perspective?
So one of the books that I read was written by the Kaufman family in Massachusetts, and they suggested that you put yourself in their place. If you see them playing with a toy that is not the typical way that you play with a toy, like if they're holding up a cube and like looking at it, through it and like watching the fan through it, or, whatever they're doing with that toy, they suggested that you do the same so that you can see what they're seeing. So really, like, we try to do that as much as possible. We try to see what he's doing and why he's doing it and what he's getting out of it, because then we can really understand the purpose behind that atypical play, right? And so we just kind of like grew that and pertained it to pretty much everything in our life and his life. And so that really helps us make that strong connection.
Talk about your goal to create a book for every aspect of special needs.
So there are so many different hurdles that people with special needs have to overcome. And yeah, you understand. So, we have experienced so many already. So the very first one I did was about the art of joining and how we teach our son basically through his interests. So one of his big interests is water and nursery rhymes. So really, we use those to teach him how to do things. Unfortunately, we've also come across bullying. So we address bullying in one of our books. And then our next book coming out, Blaze Needs Berries, we talk about special diets. So our son is gluten-free and dairy-free, and we talk about how he can be excluded through his diet because a lot of the birthday parties that we go to or just gatherings, most of the food has gluten and dairy in it. You go to a birthday party and there's pizza and there's cake and ice cream, and he can't eat any of it. So we just pertain the stories to our life. And I'm really looking forward to doing my next one, which is being nonverbal and how we encouraged him to speak. And we did that by using song. So, but as we meet new friends with different special needs, and as my son gets older and experiences new challenges, our scope will broaden and we'll just have more stories to write about and more stories to share.
Sorry to hear about bullying.
Yeah, it's really heartbreaking, but I think it really hits deeper when it happens to you. So we really understand it, and we really want to make a difference in that area.
How do you emphasize the importance of talking points with children about special friends they may know?
So we approach the conversation with warmth and understanding, but most importantly, simple language. So the younger children and the children with special needs can understand it more. We try to use relatable examples, scenarios that they may encounter in real life. For example, in my book, Jacob Learns to Fly, um, Jacob has trouble learning things. that seems so easy for us to learn. So we really address that. And then in Loves Puddles, we discuss bullying and how that really hit us hard. Um, and then in Blaze Needs Berries, we talk about the food and how you can be excluded in food. But it's great to have different friends that can bring different perspectives into our lives, and our friendships can be meaningful and worth nurturing.
When does it come out?
So Blaze Needs Berries is coming out. We just made our big order, so hopefully we'll get all of our books in about 2 weeks. But my two books that are available now are Jacob Learns to Fly and Jacob Loves Puddles. And then Blaze Needs Berries. Hopefully we'll be able to start shipping them out in a couple weeks.
Why do people feel like reading can help kids rather than real-world experience?
Some children may not have someone in their circle yet that has special needs. And, we all know that eventually everyone will meet someone with special needs because the diagnosis rate is climbing. But our books just provide a safe, controlled environment where children can explore the ideas and concepts at their own pace without the pressure or the challenges that can arise in real world situations. So if they're reading a story, they have time to process their emotions and the situations and what they should do, and hopefully the parent or the caregiver is there to guide them through the story, so that the children can understand the different perspectives and the different people and the different situations, um, and just they can explore their emotions and challenges through the characters.
Especially shifting to neurodivergent.
Yes. Yes.
You never know.
Exactly. You never know.
How do you explain inclusion?
So inclusion means everyone, regardless of their differences, has the opportunity to be a part of a group. So we want to make that, as possible, just, everywhere that we go, everyone should be included. Um, we make sure everyone gets a chance to join and be part of the fun. In Jacob Loves Puddles, my second book, Violet makes sure that Jacob always has a friend. She waits at the front door of school for him every morning. And actually, this story is based on one of my son's friends that he met in preschool. And she would literally wait at the front door for him every morning because she wanted to walk in with him. And she included him in everything, every part of their day. She was always by his side. And then in Blaze Needs Berries, Blaze is allergic to dandelions, and the forest animals have a dandelion festival. But Blaze can't go because she's allergic to them. And so once Blaze's friends realize that, they make sure that she has enough food. They go on a journey and find the food that she can eat. And they make changes. They change the festival to a strawberry festival because it can include her. So, like that's our ideal inclusion.
I wrote it highlighting both the challenges and victories of my life from birth to present day.
Yeah.
Why did you choose the age group you did?
When my son was first diagnosed, um, he was about 2.5. So our daughter was, just over 3 years old, and she had a really hard time understanding. We were having therapists come into the home, birth to three, and they would bring toys, and they would, have so much fun for a couple hours. And my daughter could not understand why she wasn't having those people come and play with her. And so it was really hard for us to relate to her being only 3 years old. And so I looked on Amazon, I looked everywhere I could to find books that would explain to her, that he has a special need and that we have to treat him differently and we have to play with him differently. And I just couldn't find anything. So that's where I started, is the early years. And as I go, I'm working my way up, because we're always going to have hurdles to climb. We're always going to have new material to cover. So I'm starting with the stories that we've already experienced.
What challenges did you face in the writing process?
There were a lot of challenges because I had never been an author before. I had never been an illustrator before. You were in the same boat? Yeah. Um, and I'd never published a book before. So, well, to be honest, the writing came pretty easy. I just had to kind of work on my grammar because I write the way that I speak, which is more in phrases. So I really had to structure, work on sentence structure. But the biggest challenge that I had was illustrating, because I was not an artist. I had never done a painting or a drawing or anything like that. So learning how to paint, learning how to get my images from the painting to an electronic version. I am very low tech. So I really had to, learn a lot more about technology and how to get my pictures submitted and how to put the words on the pages. And I think that was my biggest challenge. Probably the most crushing part of it was when I started painting. I painted in acrylics, because that was just, the YouTube videos that I could find to learn from was acrylic and everything. But once I got to the water scene in my first book, I couldn't make the water splash the way that I wanted it to splash. So I remember speaking with my sister-in-law, who is an actual artist. She actually illustrated our third book. Um, yeah. So I was talking to her one day and I said, I just can't get this right. And she said, well, I hate to break it to you, but I think you're going to have to redo it and use watercolors. And I said, no, because I'm at, so close to being finished. And so I tried the water scene in watercolor and it actually worked. So I had to throw everything out and start all over. And it was so crushing, but I was determined to get this book out. And really, it was the only way that it was going to happen. So I redid the whole book in watercolors. And then I think was another pretty big hurdle was getting my paintings um, into the electronic form where I could add the words and where I could actually submit it for publishing. Because I am terrible at technology. So luckily my husband helped. But yeah, that was probably the biggest hurdle.
Were you concerned about Jacob's privacy along with yours?
Oh, we were, yes, but my son's name is not Jacob. I changed the characters' names in the story. So the characters in the story are named Jacob and Geneva, which are actually my grandparents. But we do have him on social media and things like that, but we keep it very minimal. We try not to exploit and, show his personal challenges, so that, if he does see it in the future, he will not be embarrassed. So, yeah.
What is a piece of advice that you would give to an author that is having a hard time writing about inclusion in a book?
Really, the best way that we learned inclusion is just opening our heart and putting ourselves in the world of those that are being excluded. Um, I learned so much in the early years about patience and joining and how to see things the way that others see them. And I mean, it's so common for us now. It's just part of our life. So, I think just really putting yourself in someone else's situation and really understanding what they're experiencing, because there's always two sides to a story, sometimes even three.
More.
Or more. Yeah.
Thank you, Amanda, for doing this with me. It was
Of
great to
course.
have you on.
Oh,
Please share this
I
talk
enjoy.
show with your family and friends.
I will.
Everyone watching, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.